that there isn't a better place to park money on the planet right now than in silver, period.
Yeah.
Full stop, period. And I will go on record and we'll have a conversation someday where you and I will wake up on a Monday morning and you're going to call me at 5 in the morning or something and be like, Andy, holy shit.
Yeah.
Do you see the price of silver? And I'm going to say, no. And I'm going to look at the phone and I'm going to say, holy shit. That's how it's going to happen. They're going to let it go. And it's going to happen at a time that catches Wall Street and the American public off guard. And if you aren't positioned, you're dead in the water. And I know that's going to happen. I just don't know when. But you can pull this video up. When we look at what gold has done, outpacing everything and hanging in there, and quietly, like the tortoise in the old kid story, the tortoise and the hare. And holy shit, there's the tortoise. How did he get here? Watch what happens when silver catches up. And today is a prime example of it. 5 times the move of gold in one day. Well, what happens if it's that way for 1 week or 1 month or 1 year? And what does that look like? Gold has already gone up considerably, right? Considerably. It's doubled in, I don't know, not much more than a year. So a couple of years anyway. But silver has a lot of room to go. And at an 85-to-1 ratio, that's 4 feet of snow in my backyard in Delray Beach, Florida, man, in July. It doesn't happen. And I got 2 snowmobiles back in Minnesota. I wouldn't call my sister and tell her to send them back here if it were, because I know it's an anomaly. And this anomaly has grown stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's pushing a beach ball deeper and deeper and deeper down at the bottom of the pool. And you're stepping on it, but if your foot slips, it's going to come up and hit you in the chin and knock you out. And that's how fast that this will move when it really moves. It'll blow people's mind. And I will go on record and we'll have a conversation someday where you and I will wake up on a Monday morning and you're going to call me at 5 in the morning or something and be like, Andy, holy shit.
Yeah.
Do you see the price of silver? And I'm going to say, no. And I'm going to look at the phone and I'm going to say, holy shit. That's how it's going to happen. They're going to let it go. And it's going to happen at a time that catches Wall Street and the American public off guard. And if you aren't positioned, you're dead in the water. And I know that's going to happen. I just don't know when. But you can pull this video up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it when that happens. I've seen it at $50 in 2011. I saw how fast it went up. I saw how fast it went down. The difference is the world looks at the United States very differently than it did in 2011.
Yeah.
And we're in a much worse financial position than we were in 2011.
Yes.
You know the old Bob Dylan song, "The Times They Are Changing," because it's traded globally, and that's why. And the COMEX, like it or not, is the price-setting mechanism of forever. And by keeping the price low, they have disincentivized demand for a long time for that same stupid mentality. Like, oh, well, if it's worth so much, why is it only 30? Well, that's the whole point. If you keep its price completely suppressed and make it seem like an asset that pays no interest and is an archaic relic of the past, who wants to own it? It's mass true value. So the people who say that are just uneducated and they don't look at things properly. They look, it's like looking through a toilet paper tube, and just looking at, instead of taking a step back and look at the real picture. And I would ask the question of, if it's not so valuable, then why the hell are they suppressing it? Why are there 8 banks stepping on it? And the difference is that forever, these other countries never stood for delivery. They were not motivated, coordinated, sophisticated, or wealthy enough to do it. They had no interest in doing it, and now they do. So this is what's called getting caught in your own game. And these countries have become wealthy, coordinated, sophisticated, and motivated, and they get what's going on. That's why we're losing this game. It was a game that we won because we set the rules in the beginning, and now we're losing because those same rules, which were put in place that never would have allowed these countries really any real means or desire to stand for delivery, now is slanted much more so in their favor. That's the difference, Jay. That's the difference. That's why things will accelerate from here tremendously, because at some point the jig is up. It's obvious that they understand what's going on, and the West End will have to kind of batten down the hatches and do all they can to retain it and let the price really go where it's supposed to go. I just think that this is a very dangerous game that we're losing at, based upon the fact that the world has really gotten smart to what we're doing. Many of the Fed, the Fed governors, the one from Chicago, last name Goolsbee, talking about that there will be many more rate cuts on their way down to, they want it to get down to around 3% on the federal funds rate, which is, you're talking 4 more rate cuts of 50 basis points plus. You're talking gold and silver rocket fuel. And it just is the realization. And what's interesting too, man, is that when they lowered rates on the by dropping the federal funds rate, the back end of the curve went higher. In other words, the yield, the bond market fell and the yield went higher, because who wants to hold our long-term duration debt when we're just obviously giving up on fighting inflation and continuing to spend and destroy the value of the dollar? So it had the opposite effect. But what it is doing is uninverting the yield curve, where they're pushing down the front end and the back end is selling off, and the rates are going higher because no one wants to hold our debt of any duration because of the risks to inflation and to war and to all of the other things that are kind of floating around out there. These are very strange times, man. It truly is. And it's not about making money. It's not about that. It's about return of your money rather than return on it right now. And I don't think it's even begun to accentuate itself in terms of what's going to happen. That'll happen here over the next couple of weeks as we head into the election. There's just going to be some things that I think will just automatically start to get strange. And I look at gold, and you know, to me, when I say gold, I mean silver too. They have a 90% correlation through all of time. They move together, not always in symmetry. But let's just focus on gold for a moment and realize silver will exhibit a very similar pattern once the dust settles. And that is that, you know, for the past 25 years, gold has outperformed everything. And it's doubled the 10-year treasury. It's outpaced the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested. It hasn't beaten Bitcoin, but that's not a traditional asset. It's beaten everything traditional. And here it is at all-time highs, completely ignored. And silver even more ignored. And the same old nonsense about silver being an industrial metal and it could slow down in a recession and this and that. The world has moved past that. This is not about a recession. This is not about any of that. This is about silver, I think, is being recognized by, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think Russia and China and India have understood for a long time what we're doing. I try and show people that when I talk about the comment that came out of the Shanghai Grain Exchange, or the BRICS Grain Exchange rather, where the gentleman who's behind it said, look, we produce more wheat than the West, we consume more, yet we don't control the price. That's controlled on COMEX. When this is finalized, the BRICS Grain Exchange, this will change that. Well, they know that the same exact thing, it's the exact same thing that's happening and more relevant. It's like they're tipping their hat, because the exact same thing they know is happening with the precious metals, and they have been using that against us. I've been screaming about this forever. But I think they realize what we're doing, and they have been trying to beat us at this game. This is a financial war. This is not a hot war. And they're draining the system of everything.